Good afternoon, and in that order. First, good, then afternoon. What's it like here in sunny Great Yarmouth, Galston today? Well, I've altered the perspective of the camera a little bit, as you can see, because everyone's getting really quite taken up with my Cuba print. I'm really glad you like that. I think I just picked it up somewhere. I don't know, can't even remember where, but glad you like it. You can see my wife and I in the background when we got married, okay? And I've had that light shade for absolutely ages. Being a short arse like me, I keep banging my head on it, but it doesn't hurt because it's only, well, it's fabric, isn't it? So, good and morning, or rather good afternoon. Yep, guten Abend. What am I going to talk about today? Well, I'll make it fairly brief because my wife is still upstairs. She comes to bed really, really late. She's diabetic like me, and then doesn't wake until the afternoon. She's really suffering with her bipolar at the moment. Okay, primary topic today. We are going to start by saying I did get that trip out yesterday. I did buy a little bit from Aldi, put some petrol in the car, and picked up that prescription. Turns out it wasn't a person in a hazmat suit that dispensed it to me, but I did have to go round to a small side window that was well signposted. And yes, I did wear my antiviral self-made mask. I won't put it on for this, but you can imagine I was wearing this and I kind of looked a bit like E.T. and I just had sort of effectively a clear plastic shield over that, which was great, but it's kind of a bit hard to breathe, even though you're still getting air down there with all that tucked under your collar. I did find the old heart somewhat thumping when I started to walk faster, and I thought to myself, that must be due to lack of oxygen. Right, a Mark II version of that will be on the way that will allow respiration in greater quantities. Well, let me tell you about what that was like, even just wearing that in public. Went round Aldi's in Great Yarmouth, not stupendously busy. Went in the mid-afternoon, so you could imagine the kind of customers around there were, yes, us old and vulnerable types, and saw a lady with a lanyard on and quite a smart dress suit on, skirt and nice top and blouse and all this lot. She looked quite professional, yeah. Saw quite a few other people from all kinds of groups here. Watched a bloke going around also with gloves on, quite white, thick gloves. I can get why. Aldi wasn't going mad, but need I tell you? No toilet rolls. Not even in Aldi. They've been picked clean. Hey, latest one as well, by the way. Try to be careful with what you're putting down your toilet, will you? I know it's going to be great, and I often joke about using copies of The Sun, and especially with Rupert Murdoch's face on the pictures, but if you flush them down the toilet, they tend to block the sewers. And, you know, there's going to be a shortage of people going out there at the moment to undo those blockages. So, you know, at least try and flush something down that is flushable. Or, hate to be a bit basic here, but if you're going to have to use stuff that is not flushable, I don't know, just create a container somewhere, put a lid on it, and throw it away in your household rubbish. Yep. Anyway, not my major point for today. I survived. Few weird looks, put some petrol in the car, and then came home. Major point for today, and I'm looking out for it, okay? Sick and disabled already, like me, my wife, diabetes, maybe you got COPD, maybe you're recovering from cancer, maybe you're actually having chemotherapy, maybe you are in some way immune suppressed, if not over 70. The basic guideline that I always say, and because it's one being touted by the government, those of us asking to self-isolate, they're asking to self-isolate probably for about a year now. Day 5 of my self-isolation. Those of us getting the old flu jab. And believe me, COVID-19 is not like the flu. I know that everyone wants you to believe it is, but it's not. And it's especially not like the flu if you have a compromised immune system or you're one of us flu jab needers who are now going to find out what the rules will be when it comes to getting maybe one of those ventilators, at the end of our lives, if we are lucky enough to make it into hospital, let alone into an ICU unit, because it seems to me that in Italy the entire hospital is becoming one giant ICU unit. Now, despite what Spaffer says, because Spaffer likes making jokes about everything, Spaffer, as you remember, joked on a video call or a conference call with leading CEOs about the project to get them to manufacture ventilators, a bit like they got, as I've said many times, Singer sewing machines turning out Tommy guns, Rolls-Royce, instead of building engines for the Silver Shadow, the Ghost or whatever, turning out engines for Merlin Spitfires, and turning out engines for the famous Lancaster as well, also the Merlin. But of course Spaffer has to joke, because Spaffer thinks everything's funny, and especially at our expense, because he's apparently said to have it's told these CEOs, read Daily Beast, it's also on other sources, that perhaps we could call this, quote, Operation Last Gasp. Won't be his last gasp, of course, the posh twat's never going to get this, and even if he does, him and most of the gentry and our ruling class will get the best quality treatment, not going to be offered to us. But get back to what today is about. We are supposed to be expecting a statement from him today on what guidelines doctors will be given to treat those of us, or not treat those of us, who are flu jabbies, immunosuppressed. Diabetes is specifically mentioned. I think COPD is, asthma and that stuff is. What is this a realisation of? It's a realisation that the NHS couldn't possibly cope. It's not going to cope. The numbers doubling all the time, us telling Johnson test, and Spaffer there going, oh yeah, well, doesn't happen of course, but the numbers constantly doubling, They're not going to have enough ventilators to treat everybody. Now, what will the criteria be? We'll hear exactly, but I expect age will play a part in it, and I expect how many or how many or how severe are what I call our comorbid conditions or illnesses. My two main comorbidities, had a heart bypass 1, and obviously the diabetes 2. I got some Crohn's disease. I wouldn't think that's a huge one. Respiratory wise, well, I do need to sleep with CPAP to keep my airway open, so about 3 comorbidities. Now, frankly, are they going to waste an ICU ventilator on me? And if you're in the same position, ask yourself that same question. Are they going to waste one on you if it's a case of giving one to somebody who doesn't have those morbidities and has a better chance of coming through this and surviving? I don't know, maybe with seriously compromised lung function. Chinese are finding out they're having effectively holes in the lungs, So, who's going to get it? Is it going to be you? Is it going to be your your elderly grandparent who's in their 70s or their 80s? come on, the NHS and the doctors, and I pity them for having to make these choices, are going to have to make some pretty hard choices. Younger people, unfortunately, it's probably going to be your parents that they're going to be choosing not to ventilate. People with relatives who have these conditions, again, it's probably your relatives they're going to choose not to ventilate. Final one, time is closing in on me. It looks like, effectively, as I have said before, the whole thing is going to be dealt with. The end of this is going to be dealt with by your GP at home. Something like the Liverpool care pathway, which is kind of a bit scary because it usually involves depriving people of food and hydration. Well, it's likely that you're not going to want to eat, and you probably won't be able to drink anyway, so you're going to be sort of following your own Liverpool care pathway, and no one's going to be depriving you of anything. Yeah, looks like what we will probably be offered will be essentially for our, quote, palliative care. As I've said before, Oromorph, oral form of morphine, tranquilizers, calm us down, something to dry up lung secretions. I doubt very much whether the system will be in place to supply us with supplementary oxygen. Most of that oxygen is going to be going to hospitals. Think how badly deprived local services are. How on earth are they going to get it out to us? How are they going to produce enough of it in bottles? Don't look forwards to oxygen. And as for those of us who need full-time carers, I don't know whether they'll be there or not. I don't know. I really don't know any more than you do. Don't, in my opinion, think that as this gets worse, those of us who are already compromised immune-wise and whatever, don't think that we're even probably going to make it into hospital. I'm sorry to be bleak. I'm sorry to be dark. I just want you to face a truth that many of us are going to have to face. We're probably not even going to get through the hospital doors. Yeah? Now look, I don't believe for one single moment that this will wipe out the entire British population. I don't, okay? I don't believe it. Yes, others will get better. Others are already getting better. Yes, the world will be still here long after we're gone. And yes, please God, our children will grow up. And as they grow up, they will make the world a better place. They can start by getting rid of the Tories, who you notice now, just nearly ending, have now found their magic money tree. It's been there all along, hasn't it? Wouldn't it have been better if they found their magic money tree earlier, and rather than defunding the NHS to get it ready for privatisation, they'd put a bit of the magic money into it? Then more people like me, who is already immunocompromised, and thousands, hundreds of thousands around the country, more of us might have had a chance of living. I'm not suggesting that we would have survived, not by any means, but maybe more of your parents and grandparents and those like me might have been saved. Just imagine if the Tories had spent the money on the NHS, rather than on their billionaire tax-dodging chummies. Bye, folks. Listen for Johnson's latest announcement. I believe today. Is it usually about 5? I don't know. Someone put in the comments, when does he usually do his briefing? Wonder if we'll get one on Sunday. Bye.